can open this video with the fact that I picked Tennessee to win this football game 21-17. The final score 24-17. Who'd you pick, Trevor?
3-point difference doesn't count. I had Tennessee 28-24.
I was closer. That's Trevor McGee. I'm Caleb Jarreau. We survived a field storm tonight and a very ugly football game to talk to you now. We both smell like cigar smoke. It's still kind of smoky in here. And we waited a good, hour and a half to even hear from Heupel and coaches and players. All right. Takeaways, Trevor, from whatever happened here.
It's exactly how I thought this game would go. I knew it was going to be ugly from the start. Anyone could have probably told that, so it's no sophistication that I put that down in words and posted earlier that this was going to be an ugly football game. Exactly that. The defense, elite as it's been, once again, held another opponent under 20 points. Offense, really shaky in that first half. The second half still wasn't amazing, but it got the job done. Dylan Sampson, once again, has been the only reliable force on the offensive end. He put up 2 more touchdowns. He gets even closer to that program record for single-season touchdowns. So just Dylan Sampson and the defense, it's been the story every game this year, and it changed nothing, even in a game against Alabama, where the emotions may have been a little bit higher. Players put that in the back of their minds. They just went out and played the same football they played for 7 games now.
Tennessee defense held Alabama to 75 net rushing yards on the entire night. Jalen Milroe threw for 239, 2 picks, the big one coming right behind us from Will Brooks. And I will say, just like I said the score prediction, I called it on the sideline. I looked to Ryan Sylvia, who was standing next to me on the sideline. I said, Jalen Milroe's throwing a pick here. Ryan Sylvia turned to me and said that it was going to Will Brooks. And guess what? Will Brooks came up with the interception. So some would say I know football. Trevor, I don't know. Shout out to Jack Church. He does not know football. He picked Alabama to win this game handily. They did not. So, but to what you said, the offense was once again not good tonight. You keep seeing this with Nico Iamaleava struggling to run the offense. And his offensive line doesn't help him. And really, the only person that does come through to help him is Dylan Sampson. And you saw that again tonight with the offense. And the defense is elite. And honestly, at about halftime in this game, I felt bad for the defense because they were the only unit on the field from both teams that was performing good. How about that defense, Trevor?
Absolutely. The secondary, especially today, Jermod McCoy had that huge interception in that far end zone. I couldn't really tell at the time that it was one-handed, but all the pictures are saying it was.
Yeah, it was.
Jermod McCoy jumped right in front of 17-year-old Ryan Williams to pick it off.
Also horrible football. It's a fade, and he threw a dart to Ryan Williams.
Jalen Milroe was terrible tonight. We'll just say that. But the secondary for Tennessee was amazing, as good as it's been. Ricky Gibson was also really good on the other side, opposite of Jermod McCoy. Will Brooks in the secondary, really good. Jacoby Thomas, once again, making good plays in space. Andre Turrentine had a few tackles here and there. It was a really solid effort from the secondary. And you even move to the defensive line. They got some good pressure. James Pierce had a sack earlier in the second half. The linebackers, even with the loss of Keenan Peely, you couldn't really tell that much. It looked like they struggled a little bit with communication at the start, but that's expected because you lost the guy that's the communicator on the defense. Arian Carter, I think, did a fine job of stepping in that place, and I think overall the defense just did not take any steps back despite losing their biggest guy last week.
And you also wonder how much of that first drive was communication or how much of that first drive was just settling in, because there was a lot of energy pre-game, and I think you saw Tennessee trying to settle in there, making sure we don't get hit by these things behind us. The field, you can't see it in this video, the field is full of cigar butts and empty beer bottles and water bottles and trash. The turf has holes in it from where people have taken the grass. Trevor mentioned it coming out here. I feel like the grass from the first time Tennessee beat Alabama 2 years ago in the stadium and they stormed the field that everybody remembers, probably worth a little bit more than the grass tonight. And I also mentioned, we'll go into field storming, then we'll get back to the game. I felt like if Tennessee didn't storm the field, it would almost be more disrespectful to Alabama because it would have to be the first time Alabama's lost on the road and not had the field storm since Nick Saban's first season. So I feel like if Tennessee wouldn't have stormed the field, that would have kind of been the nail in the coffin for Alabama where, I mean, they lost to Vanderbilt this year. But what's your opinion on field storming, Trevor? Don't want to get political, but
I do think in some essence that it does bring unity back to college football. In a time where the transfer portal, NIL kind of ruins things, field storming brings the fans back together. However, we're getting a little outlandish here. Last week, we saw LSU storm the field over Ole Miss in a rivalry.
A team they're historically better than. They're like 38. Ole Miss is like 38-75 all time against LSU.
Yeah, that one was worthless. This one, I don't think it should happen because yeah, you beat Alabama. There's students here that didn't get to see it 2 years ago, so I think that was a little bit of the culprit. But the thing that makes it a little bit worse is based on everyone's opinion up in the press box and what I saw as well, it looked like the recruits were the first ones to do it.
Yep.
And so they jumped the wall, and the students were perfectly fine with staying in the stands. But then they saw other people on the field, and you can't just let them
Well,
storm the field.
we had sources in the student section say that they were preparing to storm the field, but it was the recruits that led the way, and then the students came behind, and it was a slow-going field storming. I was wondering if it was going to happen, or even worse, if it was just going to be 100 or so people. But it ended up filling out, stinking of cigar smoke. Always a special team shout-out. Jackson Ross played well tonight. Nico Iamaleava settled in the second half, left with injury for a play. I thought he may have had a concussion, but he ended up coming back and being fine. I don't know how long we've been going, but this is pure chaos on this field. So, final takeaways, Trevor.
Offense still has to get better. Nico, he said it himself. He thinks that injury kind of woke him up a little bit, and hopefully maybe that'll wake him up a little bit for the second half of the season. We've already passed the midway point, and he's still iffy. The deep balls aren't connecting as much, but he looks a little bit better in that second half, and a little bit of improvement goes a long way when this offense has been horrendous. So as long as he keeps improving, Tennessee gets that bye week next week, so they'll continue to get healthy. Another awkwardly spaced bye week. It kind of makes sense. You just had 2 big games, but it sucks because you only had 2 games before another bye week. Yeah. Anyways, I'm rambling here. The bye week's crucial. Then you have Kentucky here again at home. So just a really crucial part of the season, and Tennessee came away with 2 of the biggest wins in these last 2 weeks. So they deserve this bye.
This team's identity is defense. They need to find an offensive identity. The bye week is good for that. Kentucky is good for that. Mississippi State is good for that. Is Mississippi State before Georgia?
No.
Maybe not. No. Kentucky, and then we're down to Athens. So I know Georgia's in there somewhere. All to say, you know the defense is going to travel. This defense is really good. We've seen it. The offense needs to find itself, and it needs to find itself before going to Athens, because this win over Alabama is huge. If you get a win over Georgia, we're looking at, hosting a playoff game here in Neyland Stadium and heading to the playoffs. So that's what the Vols need to look forward to. For Trevor McGee, I'm Caleb Jarreau. 2 field stormings this year, 1 in Arkansas, 1 here. Lots of cigars here. We both smell horrendous. But check UTDailyBeacon.com for all of our coverage.